going to call this meeting to order. If you'll please rise. I've asked Supervisor Gould for the invocation and Supervisor Bishop to lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you and praise you for this day, Lord, and for this great nation that you've given us, Lord. You've given us the authority to run this county, Lord, and we ask for wisdom to run it wisely. Watch over our county employees, watch over our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, Lord. Watch over our families and bring us all back together to our loving arms. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to call for an executive session to be held on September 16th, 2019 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion and action to approve waiving the reading in full of items presented for discussion, adoption, or approval at this meeting.
So moved.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we're on to official business to come before this board. Discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Mr. Esplin.
Nothing to report to the board, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any committee and/or legislative reports? Supervisor Watson.
Thank you, Chairman Angus. It's my pleasure to announce that the Mojave County West Basin Water Users Study Committee met last Tuesday, August the 27th, essentially outlining the ongoing influences in the aquifer and setting the parameters for the investigation. This is the culmination of many efforts from Mojave County over the course of a number of years. In your packet, I presented a brief summary starting in November of 2014. Just so everyone knows that Mojave County has been worked diligently on this issue for over 6 years. So with that, instead of going through one by one in the summary, I will just hand that summary out and make it available to any news source also. With that, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll have a report on Priority 4 Colorado River water at our next meeting. So
Thank you very much. And this will be on the website, correct? Okay, if anyone is interested. Supervisor Gould.
None today, Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Bishop.
None today.
Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Went to D.C. and met with some of the key players from the Capitol Hill, Department of Interior, and the White House with the goal of providing President Trump with information to open access to America's highest grade uranium deposits. These Mojave County deposits are an integral part of the July 12th presidential directive to restore the domestic uranium mining industry to good health. The President identified nearly 3 dozen minerals, including uranium, as critical, and formed a working group to make recommendations. The working group has met and is forming their recommendations to present it to the President. As a point of interest, if anyone is planning on meeting with the Department of Interior, they now require background and ethics checks prior to setting a meeting. Also, we had the passing of Jim Sterling in Lake Havasu. He played an important part in the development of Lake Havasu. He gave so much of himself to make sure it was a success. He served in World War II in Korea as a pilot, and he used those skills to fly people who were in need of medical assistance to hospitals for treatment, as Havasu had no hospital and continued until the hospital became able to handle major emergencies. He saved many lives and refused payment or reimbursements for these activities. Jim was a key player who never sought recognition for the part he played in setting the groundwork for Lake Havasu that it's built on. He served on our Mojave County Planning and Zoning and Board of Adjustments and as a county supervisor. Jim was instrumental in getting the BLM lease for Sarah Park and its development. The RC Airfield is named in his honor. Few people leave a positive impression, and was a rare person who loved, fought for his country, gave to his friends and strangers, made Lake Havasu and Mojave County a better place to live. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Johnson. And I have nothing this morning, so we're on to the County Administrator's report.
Madam Chairman, I have no report today. Thank you.
Okay. And there are no Board of Supervisor meeting minutes to approve, so we will go on to the call to public. Those wishing to address the board at the call to the public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a call to the public request to speak form located in the back of the room prior to the meeting. Pursuant to ARS 38-43101H, a public body may make an open call to the public during a public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, to allow individuals to address the public body on any issue within the jurisdiction of the public body. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the public body may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the public body, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the public body shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. So I'm opening the call to public, and we have several people signed up. First, Mr. Arthur Garnica.
My name is Arthur Garnica. I live at 3902 East Packer, Kingman, Arizona. And I got a thing from the Attorney General saying that you guys have jurisdiction over NACFED. And I brought a complaint with two of the board members had voted in Jake Rhodes for the city of Kingman to run our fire district. And Jim Bailey gets retirement from the city of Kingman. He'll get that until he passes away or whatever. And then John Bryant, his girlfriend, is the supervisor dispatcher for the city of Kingman, and she's been at our meetings telling me to shut my mouth when I was talking to other people in the audience. And I just want to know, like, from what the Attorney General is saying, you guys got jurisdiction, and why is no one doing nothing about this Jake Rhodes being in our thing when the vote was illegal? Because they never told us about the conflict of interest between Bailey and Collins. They never disclosed it to the public. So I just feel that someone needs to do something about it. You know, I bring you guys complaints, and then you got Ryan Esplin. He don't do nothing about my complaints because he says that, oh, well, they can decide who they want to prosecute and who not to prosecute. And it's funny to me that they prosecuted Vic Riccardi and said Vic Riccardi was a criminal and this and that, to have him put in jail on that. And on Wayne's sentencing, Victor Riccardi, he was a victim of Wayne Eder, and that it just don't make no sense. How can you be a criminal, and to help you in your case, he's a victim? You know, this don't work. This don't seem right what they're doing. So they're not going to pick up my cases because the people I'm complaining against were their witnesses. And James Shotman called me and told me that they were their witnesses. And then their county investigators are making false police reports on me, saying that I was making threatening gestures with my vehicle. He pulled over, but he didn't get my license plate number, but he knows it was my vehicle because we worked together, and that I was an ex-board member. I never worked for the police department, and I've never been a board member. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Jem Morgan.
Jem Morgan, Kingman resident, District 1 constituent. We collectively called for LaWanna Gillette's removal because of her racist and xenophobic Facebook rants. Supervisor Gould mocked us by sending a text message telling her to choose her words more carefully and joked that he wasn't worried about her shooting up a Walmart. Indivisible Kingman called for censure from the county administration and remaining supervisors. Silence. Mary McCord Robinson called out Mojave County Codes of Conduct, Gillette's racist words violated. Silence. Mark Shaver called for public statements from every single supervisor. Silence. A Mojave County attorney clarified that free speech on social media does not protect from consequences when public trust is eroded. Still silence. So let's be clear about what your silence condones. Gillette's words aren't just racist and xenophobic. As a collective group, they constitute a Christian nationalism and white nationalism worldview. I don't care about Gillette's opinion that racism didn't exist before Obama was elected. What matters is Commissioner Gillette's worldview that America is supposed to be a white Christian nation and that we should wake up and fight against the browning of America by stopping minorities, immigrants from coming here so we can save our country for our children and grandchildren. Because this is the exact same worldview espoused by the Ku Klux Klan and every single white supremacist organization in this country, just so we're clear. Not a single one of you is sitting on this board to promote your personal agenda. So I don't care how much you know or like Lawana Gillette in your personal lives, you have a duty to create a county government that represents and serves all people in Mojave County, not just white Christian constituents. Gillette didn't misspeak. She hasn't apologized for her choice of words. She has repeatedly defended her worldview in media reporting and in Facebook. The exact same worldview that is fueling random acts of domestic terrorism, such as the mass shooting in an El Paso Walmart trying to stop the browning of America. This board is failing in its duty to serve this country. And you are opening up Mojave County to any number of discrimination lawsuits by knowingly supporting Christian nationalism and white nationalism through your silence. So let me fix your silence for you. Lawana Gillette's Facebook posts are contrary to Mojave County's anti-discrimination policy. Mojave County neither supports nor condones Commissioner Gillette's statements, and we call upon Supervisor Gould to exercise his supervisory authority to unappoint Lawana Gillette for Mojave County's Planning and Zoning Commission, because there is no place for racism and white nationalism in Mojave County government, just so we're clear.
Thank you. Tricia Christofferson.
Good morning. My name's Tricia. I'm a Kingman resident, also in District 1. I'm here this morning for my third Board of Supervisors meeting. So we're talking 6 weeks that I'm here speaking on the same issue. 6 weeks ago, I came before you to ask for you to censure Ms. Gillette's racist and xenophobic speech. You did not. There was silence. Further insult added to the issue by Supervisor Gould when he added some homophobic statements that were baseless and false. We attended a planning and zoning meeting. Thank you, Supervisor Bishop, for requesting that be put on the agenda. At that time, we also spoke. There was silence, except for the attorney, Mr. Taylor, who bravely stated that while First Amendment rights do afford hate speech in government jobs, when you do speak out certain words, you undermine public trust. I attended another Board of Supervisors meeting 2 weeks ago where I spoke on the difference between censor and censure. And I restated that all we've been asking for was censure, for Mojave County to come out with a statement to let everybody know that that is not the missions or the morals of Mojave County. Still nothing. So what I can tell you has happened during the past 6 weeks is our county's government has been seen as complicit in these issues, as participants in these issues. Your constituents do not trust you. They do not feel that you serve them. And I know this because in the past 3 to 4 weeks, they have begun reaching out to those who they do see speaking out in their favor. They've begun reaching out to myself. They've begun coming to me and letting me know of all the things that they've done, dug out of all of your personal accounts. The things that they've seen all of you speak about that are unsavory. They don't feel like they can come to you. They don't feel like you guys take our word seriously. They don't feel like you serve us. They feel like that you serve the white national agenda. And so, again, I'm here today to tell you change is not coming to Mojave County. change is here. And I'd love to see some of you play a part in that role. Thank you.
Thank you. Royanne Ortiz.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, and staff. My name is Royanne Ortiz, and I reside in Bullhead City. I am here because this is the third meeting in a row that we've had people get up and label one of their fellow citizens as a racist. I know Luana Gillette, and she's not a racist, she's not a white nationalist. And I am a constituent. I trust you, and I don't like people coming up here and speaking on my behalf. I am perfectly capable of speaking on my own behalf. What is happening here is an Alinsky tactic for decades to hinder free speech and to smear opponents who don't believe as they do. Her words were not quoted in the order of the sentences that she wrote. The basic of her words reflect what I believe as well. It is not that our it is that for our future to survive, we must assure that those who immigrate to this country also assimilate into our culture and love this country. Failure to assimilate is what will doom the great experiment called America. Luana was appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission that has 9 other members. She has no real individual power. Those who are elected that have power as an individual with the ability to affect our liberty reside in the judicial system, like the county attorney who can decide whether to prosecute someone or not. Like the sheriff, who could decide that they want to arrest somebody or not for no reason at all, or who fails to take action when a citizen is abused or injured. A judge who could sentence someone way beyond what he should have sentenced him for, or maybe not sentenced him at all, let him go on probation. There's lots of chances in this county for abuse to happen and for corruption to happen, and they're up here talking about white nationalism, which is totally ridiculous. They should be looking and cooperating with other citizens to make sure that our county treat each and every one of us fairly. So what I'd like to see is that we cooperate. There are many issues that need resolving in this county. We should be working together and spending our time and effort looking for solutions. And the second item I have is the animal shelter. I live in Bullhead City. We have an animal shelter. I pay for that. Now you want me to pay for one here in Kingman. No, thank you.
Thank you. James Beeson.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I am James Beeson, resident of Kingman, District 1. I come to you guys as a business owner and a gay man, and in one half of a biracial relationship. I come to you guys with concerns about Luana and Rangul. You know, as the predecessor before me stated that her comments were not racist. Well, her comments were. I was offended. My partner was offended. There are people here that are offended. Freedom of speech, we have, yes, but that does not uphold us from, that does not prevent us from the consequences of those speech. My concerns with Luana are, the fact is I am a business owner. I am actually looking at buying property in the next couple of years and opening up my own business to create jobs for Kingman, to create jobs for this county. Who says that, you know, as an individual, we can't sway a group? You know, if I decide to pull the permits, who's to say that the said board, Luana, or anybody, where's my guarantee that I will have fair treatment? She said she doesn't like my kind. She doesn't like my partner's kind. Well, that's all on her. I thought racism was done, back in the 60s. The ideals that she has, same with you, Mr. Gohl, that's all 19th century. The problem that we are having right now is that we are holding on to mindsets that are outdated, pointless, and disgraceful. Yes, I'm referring to you and Luana, Mr. Gohl. So let's go on to, just questioning, Mr. Gohl, how can you as a leader in our community discriminate a group that's been fighting for our rights for so long? You say, quote unquote, first they wanted us to give them rights, now they want us to accept them. I'm not asking for acceptance. I don't care, personally. I will take your respect, especially, somebody who is looking not just to create, just for somebody who's looking to, create jobs to help our economy of this county, And as for calling homosexual disease, maybe you should leave that to the professionals, Mr. Gohl. The professionals who I might add have said again and again in the study after study that it is as natural as having brown hair or blue eyes, or blonde hair and blue eyes. You are not a physician or a psychiatrist. Your statements are based off of your religious belief, not scientific fact. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and I, as a pagan, homosexual, red-blooded American, I deserve to be treated as equals. My last comment to Gohl and Gillette, I think you both should issue a public apology, not to me, but to all of the people who cannot come up here and make,
Thank you, Mr. Beeson. Thank you very much. Mr. Robinson.
Chairman, Supervisors, staff, I'm Steve Robinson, 5373 Arizona Highway 68 in Golden Valley. Luana Gillette misspoke, but she is not a racist. If she were, you all know I would have been the first to have said it long before these people ever thought of saying it. However, she is opposed to illegal immigration and sanctuary cities. And in fact, historically, real racism resides in the Democrat Party. And we can go back to the first Democrat president, Andrew Jackson. He was a slave owner. He is responsible probably for 1 million Native American deaths. Martin Van Buren, who came after him, he started the northern plantations by creating the whole Tammany Hall, boss system they bought the votes of immigrants coming into the country by saying, you vote for us, we'll give you what you need. They didn't give them opportunity, just what they needed to survive. The Democrats on both sides in the Civil War were the racists. In fact, before the South was reinstituted or reintegrated, the Democrats by majority voted against the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The Ku Klux Klan started as a paramilitary group of the Democrat Party. Then in 1913 or thereabouts, Woodrow Wilson screened the film in the White House, The Birth of a Nation, an extremely racist film, and he was a Democrat, and he is responsible for the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan in America. FDR caused blacks to vote in Democrat Party by promising them money, welfare. So the Democrat Party has been the party of illegal immigration, giving them amnesty and asylum and protecting them in sanctuary cities. We've seen just in the last month, one sanctuary county in Maryland, 7 rapes by illegal aliens, including a 7-year-old girl. And it gets kind of personal with me because about 18 years ago, my own family member was sexually assaulted by an illegal alien serial rapist. And yet the city of Portland protected this person. Imagine how sick I spoke or felt as a father knowing that that had happened. So I challenge these Democrats to let's have a debate on the issues of racism, sanctuary cities, illegal aliens being given asylum and all that. Until they want to debate those issues, and let's have a forum that will give money to the victims of crimes, especially illegal aliens, and I'll be glad to have a debate with them anytime, anywhere. And until then, they should just shut up.
Robinson, Sharon Weber.
My name is Sharon Weber. I live on Parkview Avenue in Kingman, Arizona. First, I'd like to just address the fact that no one that I know that has come to speak before you in the last 4 weeks has made this an issue of party. This is not an issue of party. That is nonsense. This has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans, Christians or non-Christians. This is plain, flat out an issue of bias in county government. Yes, anyone who wants to has a right to say anything they want in this country, but there is a consequence to their speech sometimes. Just recently, someone was arrested for threatening Congressman Gosser. Just words. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody be arrested or anybody be punished or anybody be anything. I have no personal interest in hurting Mr. Gould or Ms. Gillette, but I do have a personal interest in the community I live in. When Sacha Baron Cohen came to Kingman several years ago and did a story about racism, we all scurried around because everybody said, this isn't who we are. But I'm starting to wonder if I was wrong, and those of us who work so hard and diligently to turn that around for this city and this county, if we were wrong, and this is who we are. Because there is silence from you all, not even an apology. Indeed, Ms. Gillette and Mr. Gould have gone out of their way to give press statements publicly now, making fun of the whole situation. Good God, what is wrong with y'all? This was a simple thing. If anybody else in the police department, the fire department, the school system, the state system would make remarks publicly like that and hold public position, they would be required to do something to apologize, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what this really is a discussion about the character and the destiny of this county and community. We have seen since the carnage last month in El Paso and Dayton, 3 more failed attempts, all based when they found these young men on this rhetoric, and yet you all want to support this rhetoric. Really? Is that how you want us to live in this county? Is that the direction you want us to go? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mary McCord Robinson.
Good morning. Mary McCord Robinson, 2626 North Twin Hills Road, Kingman, District 1, and no relationship to that Mr. Robinson, who thinks it's okay to wear a hat indoors. And I do agree, this isn't about party. It's not. So I don't like the silence. I would like a statement from all of you, or at least representing the board, on where you stand, not only on your policy, but on this incident. Just make some statement. That's my first issue. My second issue today is Supervisor Watson and Sheriff Schuster. Would you please address the panhandlers out at the Petro truck stop? They are causing accidents. These are not homeless people. They're panhandlers. They live in the neighborhood. The truck stops to give them money for gas, which they're out of every single day. You learn their routine. Some are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Some are Tuesday and Thursday. And when I drove out this morning, they basically are camped out underneath the abandoned gas station there. They've got all kinds of stuff out there. We've tried to contact the owners of the property, but if you do a search, there's like 25 different people that use that business address as their business address. So we're really not sure who to contact. They are in the roadway. The sheriff office has been called, right? They're short. They're short. I mean, this is not a life or death emergency for them to come out. But they're standing in the street. The trucks are blocking the traffic. We have people that don't stop at the stop signs to begin with pulling out, including the trucks. But it's causing a hazard. It's a dangerment out there. And we really need it addressed. Again, these are not homeless. These are people that live in our neighborhood. And when we try to approach them or take pictures or get their license plate numbers, then they become threatening to us. So I would like for you, Supervisor Watson, to please take an action item to get with the sheriff to make it at least a priority to look into the situation out there. Back to Luana and Supervisor Gold. Again, I think the county deserves a statement. I would like to have a published statement, whether you agree or disagree. I don't want to keep coming here every 2 weeks. I refuse to argue with Mr. Robinson again, and I really don't want to make it a party issue. I don't want a history lesson when I come to your meeting. I don't need that. Again, my husband came here from slaves, so being a Robinson descendant, your family came from slaves. I don't need a history lesson. I need to live and work in a county that's not biased and represents all constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And last to sign up is Mark Shaver. Waiting for it to be put on the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone working back there?
I see a head.
Nathan? Okay, so why don't you start and then we'll get it going. You need it for your beginning?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Can y'all read that? You can't read it. You read it now? There we go.
My name is Mark Shaver. I live at 4054 West Hiller Drive, Meadview, Arizona, 86444. Less than 48 hours ago, Ms. Luana Gillette reaffirmed her release. Some of you want to make this into an immigration problem. As you can see by her post, I don't see anything related to immigration. Do you? No. Now, I know that a lot of you, or majority of this board, is just going to wait it out. You're not going to issue a statement, and I know that. I'm just here to show you so that there is no misunderstanding about Ms. Gillette's comments, that it wasn't taken out of context. These are her actual posts. Actual post. Do you see anything there about immigration, slavery? I didn't think so. Neither did I. How about this one? an actual post. Now, I gave you all these copies here weeks ago. And to this day, not a single comment. People like to say this is not a partisan issue. But when you're sitting there protecting one of your own, what does one expect? At some point, the rest of the world is going to catch on here like they did to that one lady back east on the coast. Really, she had the courage to speak up about how she didn't want minorities in her neighborhood, so to speak. Now that everyone's had a chance to see this and it's going on to the records, I really, really, really would like to see one of you, just one of you, like Mr. Johnson, to speak out. You've been here the longest. You've been around a block a few times. I've seen your videos and I've listened to you speak. You have an opportunity to lead this in a totally different direction that benefits all of Mojave County citizens and minority groups. Despite what people might say, just because I brought this up to you, I'm now labeled as being a racist for pointing out an obvious racist thing. Okay. If Steve Robinson wants to encourage you to have a forum and debate anybody, I'm down with it. I am down with it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaver. Okay, there's no one else signed up, but I will let anybody else who wants to say something come up. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'm
Madam
going to...
Chair,
Yes.
is it possible we could take a short 3 or 5 minute break? I
Okay,
just have a call.
let me close the call. I'm going to close the call to public now. And how long do you need? About 5 minutes? More?
3 minutes.
All right, take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Everybody back? Okay, we're going to reconvene this meeting, and we're going to go to a presentation. We have Mr. Alvin Stump, District Engineer from the Arizona Department of Transportation, Northwest District. Welcome, Alvin.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board. I'm going to provide a quick progress update on our West Kingman Interchange project. Also here is Sam Elters from Matrix Design. He's representing our consultant firm. So with that, we'll just go into it. A little bit of background. The draft design concept report was completed in 2015. And then as we started into looking at final design, we wanted to take a look at a few opportunities for improvement. Constructability and cost savings was one of them. Also improving ingress and ingress for both Bill Street and Stockton Hill traffic interchange was another, which that also includes extending the project limits on I-40 and 93. Whoops. So this was the original design concept report. Basically, it was your typical system freeway to freeway type interchange with a half diamond interchange to the west to connect Beale Street and 93 going north. And then, of course, the existing interchange, which is going to remain as is. So in looking at the half diamond interchange connecting Beale Street to 93, the original concept again was the half diamond interchange. It had a 6% grade, which is not very desirable. Also, the stopping at the intersections was not as great. So we've been looking at a concept of building two underpass structures, one for Fort Beale, to just have that direct connection separately. Also to have a free flow ramp from Beale Street onto 93, as well as a free flow ramp coming from 93 to Beale Street. So both directions, it provides free flow access to and from Beale Street. So much better circulation there. Another opportunity we saw was on the westbound ramp from westbound I-40 to 93 north. It originally called for a pretty significant cut into the side of the mountain there, which not only it's a big scholar, it's an expensive one. It was about estimated around 300,000 cubic yards of waste, so that's very pricey. The first concept that our consultant was looking at was having the 93 ramp exit from the left side, which down the road when this is I-11, it kind of makes sense, but this concept hasn't been approved by Federal Highways, so what they've looked at now instead is to move the widen to towards the median, to shift the westbound I-40 lanes, and again, accomplishing the same effect of avoiding some of that cut there. Third thing, constructing an auxiliary lane between Beale Street and Stockton Hill. Obviously, there's a lot of direct connectivity. Also, having that third lane climbing up the hill going eastbound is helpful for the slow-moving traffic. So those are the three big ticket items. From an environmental standpoint, we also had to obviously extend the study limits all the way to Stockton Hill. Also, we extended it up to the 68 interchange as well. Ideally, it'd be nice to extend a climbing lane all the way up there. I don't know that the funding will be available to accomplish that this time. As far as our project schedule, we had a business stakeholder meeting in July, which I thought was well attended and thought was very positive. Besides presenting here today, we're also presenting to City Council tonight. Then we're looking to have a public hearing early in 2020. We had planned on having that this fall, but got pushed back a little bit because of design. After the public hearing, we will be finalizing the DCR and starting our final design. Right-of-way acquisition will begin in the fiscal year 2020. And then right now it's currently programmed at fiscal year 24, which obviously we'd all like to get it bumped up sooner, but that's obviously a function of if something else slips out and we're able to. But total $66.2 million for construction and right-of-way cost. So that's kind of just a quick update. Be happy to take any questions you all have.
Thank you. Any questions for Alvin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just ask you to keep an eye on Mr. Eltiers, as his California background sometimes scares me a little bit.
That was a statement, not a comment. Not a question.
I thought it was a joke.
Supervisor Johnson?
That was it.
Okay. Jean? Supervisor Bishop?
No, Alvin, I'd just like to see it moved up to this year, if you could, but I understand. 2023 would be nice.
Anything we can get.
We could get you the money, right?
Thank you.
Supervisor Gould?
All thanks.
Another comment, not a question. Question or comment? Supervisor Watson?
Yeah. Thank you, Alvin. And for listening to our ideas when you were visiting last year. You implemented a few of those over on Beale Spring. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for implementing those ideas that we brought to you last year. So thank you.
Thank you very much for coming here this morning.
Thank you all.
Okay. We're on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda items 5 through 46 will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion minus any items pulled for discussion. Anyone have any items they'd like me to pull? Supervisor Watson.
I have none this morning.
Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Item 21.
21. Supervisor Bishop.
I have none.
Supervisor Johnson.
None, ma'am.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve consent agenda items 5 through 46 minus item 21.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 21, on behalf of the Mojave County Development Service Department, Environmental Quality Waste Disposal Division, and in accordance with Article 5, Section 6, that is the direct selection of pre-qualified technical registrants of the Mojave County Procurement Code, approve and sign contract number 19-PS15 for the Mojave Valley Landfill Gas Remediation System Blower Flare Refurbishment, oh, that's a mouthful, with SCS Engineers, Long Beach, California, to provide engineering services for the Mojave Valley Landfill for a total of $73,800. It's all yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was curious, essentially what this is a flame to burn off gas, waste gas from the landfill. And I was just curious if we ever thought about running some kind of a generator with this gas. I know they run oil pumps with field gas.
Chairman Angus, Supervisor Gould, good morning. At this point, I don't believe we produce sufficient gas to be able to support a generator and provide that much energy. At this point, we're over the threshold required by EPA that we do have to have some sort of remediation in place. However, the amount of gas being produced, I don't believe is sufficient to justify power generation.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify megagrams. I looked it up, but it's still you still have to convert it to a gas that's in a burnable state also.
Correct.
But it would be an interesting concept if rather than just burning it off.
Definitely, and as we continue down that road, and if our volumes get to the point to where we could justify a generation, definitely we'll watch for that and keep that in mind.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I need a motion.
Madam Chairman. I move that item 21 be adopted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda, item 48 was brought by our Public Works Director, Stephen, excuse me?
47.
Oh, I missed the whole public hearing. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm going to open the public hearing. Agenda item 47, open public hearing, discussion and possible action, approve the adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution number 2019-101, a special use permit for assessors parcel number 306-31-0031-003K and 003J to allow for recreational vehicle park in an AR/3A agricultural residential 3-acre minimum lot size zone in the Golden Valley vicinity. And I do actually have some people signed up to speak. Well, one person, Ken Works.
Ken Works, 2250 Crystal Springs Road, Yucca, Arizona. I called a phone number. Prospector's RV Resort. Phone number's 764-2000. I wanted to find out how many. It's a well-run operation. I drive by there. I've driven by there twice a day for the last, since '03. I've driven by that location, and it's a well-run operation. They have a brochure with a number of spaces on it. The spaces go up to 108 spaces and a few more besides that. And I've called to find out how many acres it sits on, and I wasn't able to get an answer. I got a taste of a person's ability to detect Bravo Sierra out past the orbit of Pluto. And he seems like a very competent and safety-conscious operator, and I think that that's the type of thing we need to look for when we're talking about RV parks. This RV park that we're talking about approving, there was no plan. Staff had no plan. The applicant had no plan, and Commissioner Abbott was a little bit put aside by the notion that they're supposed to approve a plan that doesn't exist, and he voted no on it, and a couple others joined him in voting no. I think that we need to come up with some parameters in place for approving these RV parks, because if they're done wrong, they tend to be junk magnets. I have a map of the area which I reside, about 2,700 parcels included in it. We have an association, and we have our CC&Rs. And we had one director that was very adamant on a crusade to enforce CC&Rs, and everybody asked her why. And she said because she doesn't want our area turning out to look like Golden Valley. And I think Golden Valley's come along since then, but you drive out to Shinnerump Road, there's something off to the right side there. It looks like someone threw a big lasso around a bunch of big junk pile, and I'm through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to item 47? Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Supervisor Bishop, this is in your area.
Thank you, Chairman Angus. I'd like to hear from Chris Ballard. Since she's down in the front row, I thought I'd take advantage of that, but I don't think there's a site plan that's required until after this approval, so I just kind of want some clarification and information that you may have that you could present to this board.
Thank you, Supervisor Bishop, Chairman Angus, members of the board. This approval is strictly for the permission to go forward and develop a park. The applicant still has to submit a park plan. There's a section in the zoning ordinance that lays out the standards, the setbacks, number of parking places, size of the spaces, how the spaces are developed. Those standards would apply to that park plan. That has to be submitted and approved by staff. Since it is an administrative approval, staff has to pretty much go down the checklist that was adopted by the board as part of the zoning ordinance. So we have to go through and make sure that each one of those aspects that are in the zoning ordinance are complied with. That one would include, width of the roads, how you get along. Planning and zoning is not the only department Development Services is not the only department that reviews the RV plans. Those are also reviewed by flood control, environmental quality. They're reviewed also by Public Works. If it's near a state facility, ADOT also is given an opportunity to comment, as are the utilities that are applicable in the area.
So this is just the very, very preliminary stage, and I know there is some public comment about water pressure in the area being weak already, but that would be something that would be addressed with the water company as they go through this process. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's one of the questions we do ask them. Do you have sufficient water? The fire department as well. So if the fire department doesn't believe there's sufficient water for fire flows, they can comment as well.
Okay, so if this is approved, this is basically just giving them the go-ahead so they can determine whether or not they can put this park plan together and meet all the regulations and requirements that we have.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Madam Chairman, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Who is the provider for the water?
I believe the water provider is Valley Pioneer.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Madam Chair, thank you. Also, this gentleman will have plenty of time at public hearings between now and then if this gets approved to bring up any objections or comments.
Supervisor
Because
Angus,
we'll go through the P&Z and then
Supervisor
come back.
Johnson. Yeah, the RV park process is not a public process. That's something that's done in-house. So this is the final public hearing.
But it'll still come back to the board where they still have time for comment. Right?
No, sir, it will not.
Not going to come back to the board
No.
for comments?
It's the Planning and Zoning Board.
Planning and Zoning Board.
Actually, no, the RV park plan is approved by staff.
Oh, okay.
It's a staff function. So it comes back before neither board.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that information, I don't know that this gentleman really understands what he's getting into, but he has the right, in my opinion, to go forward and try to pull this together. And if he doesn't meet these requirements, we have some staff that I believe that we can trust to make sure that all the boxes are checked and everything is in line to proceed. So I'll make a motion that we approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carried 4-1. Item 49, wait, where am I? Wow, I am just one off today. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Consistent, though.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now we're on the regular agenda, and this one was brought by our Public Works Director, Stephen Latosky, agenda item 48. Discussion and possible action, direct staff to procure construction services for emergency repair of broken sewer service line and cost-effective completion of remaining tenant improvements to the County Attorney's Office area as per the completed 2015 architectural design. Anyone want to do something? Any comments, questions, motions? Guys.
Chairman Angus, if there's no comments or questions or motions, I'll make a motion that we approve item 48 as written.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 49, sitting as the Board of Directors for the Horizon 6 Improvement District, discussion and possible action, acknowledge receipt of petition to expand boundary of the Horizon 6 Improvement District for purpose of considering the addition of 18 parcels totaling 127 acres north of the district's northerly boundary at Window Rock Road, except $500 bond for petition processing, and set public hearing for the consideration of the petition for addition to the district for October 7th, 2019. I do have several people signed up to speak. First one is Ernie Ortiz.
My name's Ernie Ortiz. I live at 4036 Gold Springs, Horizon 6. If it's possible, I'd like to give my 3 minutes to Mary Van Ruy. Is that possible? Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Mary, you're up.
Good morning, Chair Angus, supervisors and staff. My name's Mary Van Roy. I live at 4034 Blue Canyon Road, and this is?
Sue Lynn Ortiz, and I'm at 4036 Gold Springs Road.
And Sue Lynn's going to put up the letters and emails we've gotten very recently that people could not attend this meeting and they wanted their voice heard. So she is going to keep putting on different letters and emails and things so that you can see what other people in the community believe. So on July 16th, we had a Horizon 6 meeting that Mojave County planned for us at the library, and the newspaper reported Lake Havasu City would not renew agreement to supply fire and emergency services. So this came as kind of a shock to all of us, because we've had that for over 20 years. And at this meeting, we became aware for the very first time about our infrastructure needs. We had all assumed, since we had water and the fire hydrants were there, that we had no worries. We pay approximately $70,000 a year through our water meter bills to maintain and repair our water system. Well, we had minimal funds in our reserve fund. We expected to have, $100,000 or more, and this day and age, with all the repairs we've had, we should have several $100,000 in our reserve. Well, we were down to like 20-some thousand, and that was a scary thought for us. And we will not get the fire and emergency services through the contract anymore, the intergovernment agreement, but instead we have to pay for it ourselves, which most rural areas do. If you call the fire department or the emergency services, you pay for it yourself. And so that's not quite as bad, but this has opened up what we now know about our water system. So immediately we got gathered together to solve the issues. We had meetings to form a committee. We met with Lake Havasu City Manager and Fire Chief. We met with Kevin Murphy, the engineer, who's very knowledgeable about our infrastructure. I contacted Andrew McGuire, an attorney, and his firm had done the original bonds for the water and the road bonds that, from 35 years ago and about 20 years ago. So he's familiar, or his firm is familiar with our situation. And we had many emails, phone meetings with Steve Latosky, Kelly Stickrath, and Mike Garman of Mojave County, and all were very helpful, and we appreciate their cooperation because there's a lot we've been learning. So we're going to do the petition to incur expenses written up by Mojave County, and from what the information I've received, almost everybody would agree to it, and I'm sure we'll have no trouble getting the 50% to do the bonding. And the petition will secure an engineer to evaluate our system and give options that will update our system. Then decisions will be made about what needs to be done next. So in other words, we are just now learning. We've been kind of blindsided about the fact that our water system, our fire protection system, isn't what we thought it was. And we're going to have to spend some money to upgrade it or get it to the fire department would be satisfied using those hydrants. And then I want to thank the board for approving item 29 today. We learned that 5 pressure-reducing valves were buried under our blacktop, and they've never been serviced, replaced, or maintained. And that would probably explain an awful lot of the leaks and repairs we've had, and $30,000 or $40,000 a year in repairs when 20 years ago, there was maybe a $3,000 repair. So we need to get 5 or 6 fire hydrants fixed, and then we need to increase the fire flow with a booster station. So there's just a lot of money that will have to be spent to get it up to the standard that we thought it was there, but it wasn't. So the big issues we have is lack of communication. We should have known these things before an emergency meeting at the library. Accountability, we should know how much money we have in our funds, what we need to do for repairs. The lack of maintenance has been a big issue, but I see a big turnaround, and I feel that now we are going to get the attention we deserve, and I feel the staff is getting on that now, so thank you. We were surprised to find out that in October of 15, 5 parcels were added to Horizon 6 Improvement District, and that's what this item is about, is adding properties to our water district. And we didn't even know that happened, and so they now are having their houses built and putting in their meters, and that's fine and dandy. We're okay with that happened, I guess, and none of us knew about it. But the newspaper, and that's what Sue Lynn just put up, came out Saturday with maybe they'll be subdivided up properties to like 400 and some homes, which is more than our Donkey Acres area to start with, and our water system is not up to par to start with, and it cannot service all that, and we can't give up that right to the water. Even though we are not using it all now, we need to save that for ourselves. If there was, there's a lot of confusion. When they said 18 parcels, I assumed 18 homes along Window Rock, which that would be, they put in their $2,200 and they get into our bond and they help us improve and repair and maintain and continue to do that forever. That would be okay, but we cannot have 400 additional homes, which now that's rumors. We don't know whether that's true or not. We also are very happy that Mojave County staff now is going to disclose our information, our finances and that, on the website for improvement districts so that property owners can go there, and now we can learn where our money is, how it's being spent. And I guess that's one of our big issues. This is another paper that we have that tells us how many repairs we've had, but we have no idea which streets, where the problem areas are. So again, it's all about communication, accountability, so we can know how we can save money and improve our system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, there are two. Yeah?
Mary, are you opposed to the annexation in?
Oh, yeah. I would say that all those letters and myself would not want, we would be opposed to the annexation at this time. Things would have to be very clear about our water system. And again, it's the number of homes that has hugely become the problem that's brand new to us. A few homes along Window Rock, that would make sense. But a whole new development, our water system, as you can see, we're finding out we have all kinds of problems. And they're all fixable. And we're going to get it right, with the county helping us doing that. But we don't want to be responsible. We cannot take in 400 homes if that's what it really is.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Hey, Mary, before you walk off.
Mary?
Mary. You're going to get your steps in.
Yeah, I need that.
Did anybody bother to take a look at if you could actually build that number of houses on those lots? Because that's some pretty rugged terrain there.
I agree
Or did they just
completely.
divide the 127 by 4?
Yeah, I would think if there was like the 18 homes that we thought it was, or if it was even a few more, I think each individual, a lot of that area is annexed to the city, and there's other areas that said that they were going to run their own water line and their own pump stations, but they were going to access our water.
Right.
Well, so it's all very confusing. Basically, what we're asking today is to delay, not make a decision today, and then get all the information out there. And we are actually asking who these people are that are wanting to develop, because I guess we want to hear their side of the story. What we read is what we read in the paper, and we should be informed about this ahead of time, we think.
What did Mark Twain say about the newspaper?
Well, they scared us. They scared us with
if you do read the paper, you're misinformed.
Well, it's just that we've read about the fire situation. Yeah. I'm surprised we keep reading about it in the paper, and it sounds, really frightening. And then when we learn the details, we know we've got some issues, we can fix them. and that's okay. But now we don't want to add to that until we get our situation fixed with the water and the fire and all that, and then start talking about if there's a few people along Window Rock that want to add in. I think that would be an individual thing. I'm not sure the way it's set up right now. We don't know how many homes, and that's the scary part. If we actually knew that, that would make a difference, I think.
Sure.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may just interject once. This is just to set a public hearing. So, I mean, no decision will be made today, or I do not recommend a decision be made today. I would recommend you set a public hearing, just like is being requested here and what is outlined in the agenda item. Set a public hearing, then they'll have an opportunity to speak on their behalf, or you can have an opportunity to speak, and all the people in the district will have an opportunity to speak. But right here, it's just to set a public hearing. It's acknowledge receipt of the petitions and then set a public hearing.
So thank you, because we're fine with that as long as it continues discussion.
All right, thank you very much. Now I got two other people who are opposed. Is there anything you want to add that hasn't been said already? Chris Klug and Deneen Wilhelmi. You want to say something? Okay.
And just as the speaker comes up, keep in mind that what we're doing today is just setting the matter for a public hearing is all that's being contemplated by the board.
Deneen Wilhelmi, 4019 Gold Spring Road, Donkey Acres. I oppose this hookup from the word go. I want to speak about the Amendment 49. I'm against any request for annexation of any parcel of land into the Horizon 6 district. I don't care if it's 1 home or 100 homes. We lost our fire protection and we don't have it because our water system's not up to par. Lake Havasu City has the infrastructure and ability to serve 50 to 70 to maybe 80,000 people, depending on holidays and the snowbirds coming in. They're set up for it. These people should go to the Lake Havasu Water District and tie in. There's an old saying, follow the money, and I followed the money. The only reason these property owners and developers want to hook into our Horizon system because it puts more money in their back pocket. $2,200 to hook up to a water main is ridiculous. It's a slap in the face to the Horizon 6 Water District and the people of Horizon 6. That was good money 30 years ago, but today it's nothing. A water pump, and this is your figures, costs around $184,000. To fix a leak is $2,500 plus. If you go against the will of the people and let them hook up, I want to see this water fee increased to $20,000 per parcel. Because we know we're going to have to put pumps in and everything else to get that water up to them lakes up there. If you think my words are harsh, I'll put it to you this way. When somebody's trying to jam something down my throat or up my rear end, I think these words are very good. Plus another thing, remember, it's government from the people to the government, not the government to the people. And all they want to do is have a cheap way of hooking up to a water district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, Chris, you have anything to add? Chris Klug? All right, thank you. But we have one person in favor, Dennis Roberts.
Hello, Council, Madam Chair. I appreciate you all coming out. I really do. I want to make a point of division. The 18 parcel owners that are petitioning here are not part of the Blue Water or of the Campbell development, of which the paper is referring to. We're talking about 18 houses. That's what we're talking about. If you could get a subdivision, which all these parcels have already been subdivided, if you could do that again, you could maybe get 30 houses up there. But this is not cheap construction. This is very expensive. I would not think most people are going to even try something like that. The request that we've made was based upon the Public Works hearing that occurred, and where they said, hey, if you want into this district, this is what it's going to cost. They're the ones that prorated this to today's value. So that's what we're requesting, is an opportunity to get into the district 18 houses, something like that. So it's unfortunate that the News Herald published that as actually a development that will be served by city water. It's not served by Horizon 6 water. That's all.
Any questions?
Mr. Roberts, isn't that those other parcels already annexed into the city?
They are.
They are in city limits now.
Yeah, and those designs that are in progress right now are city supplied water.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
A question. You just made a statement. Maybe I misheard you. You said you're going to be served by city water?
No, those parcels that
were annexed in.
Yeah, that are annexed those designs are based on city water. Yeah,
okay.
The Horizon 6 district couldn't serve that type of a neighborhood.
Oh no. Yeah. That's the only question I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Probably should have called you first. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Chairman Angus, when is the scheduled meeting being held in Lake Havasu? That'd be a good time to schedule.
That's a
this
good question.
hearing.
It's on the 21st.
21st of October? Okay, so I need a motion.
Oh, before you do that, just quick, this has to be set though within 40 days. So I don't think we would reach, well, I have to do my math real quick. Today, go ahead and keep talking while I do.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
We received letters of opposition, which I'd like to put into the record, from Steve Robinson, no relation to the man that was here or the lady that spoke before, Jim Wire, Ed Clark, Barbara Freitas, Richard Blanchett, Donna Blanchett, Ernest and Sue-Lynn Ortiz, Rodney and Kimberly Freight, Sharon and Dario Gomez, George and Marguerite Brandt, and Lori Bevins.
Okay. Since this is in your district, Supervisor Johnson, would you like to make a motion?
I was waiting for the date.
It won't make it. It's got to be 40 days from the date of it, that we acknowledge receipt of it. So I don't think October 21st will reach that deadline.
Can we table it? Continue.
With that, I would, the first motion would be to deny this, setting a public hearing.
Deny setting a public hearing?
Yes.
May I ask?
If I may have discussion about that, I would recommend that you set it for a public hearing. I believe that just reading the statute, it's a shall set it for a public hearing, and at which point then you'll have an opportunity to hear from both sides, and then you make specific findings whether you grant it or deny it.
Okay, with that, then I'll make a motion to set the public hearing, approving this item.
Okay. Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 50, brought to us by our county manager, Mike Hendricks. Discussion and possible action, acknowledge resignation of Christopher Stavris and approve the recommendation of the county manager to appoint John Gillenwater as the Mojave County Public Defender to be effective immediately this third day of September 2019 at age 31 between steps 6 and 7, equating to a starting salary of $118,000. Anyone?
Chairman Angus, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 51, brought to us by Buster Johnson. Discussion and possible action, direct staff to draft a resolution that affirms Mojave County's opposition to any section of I-15 that cuts through the northwestern corner of the state from being converted into a toll road. Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the backup speaks for itself. We've done this in the past. I understand the state doesn't have any money, but don't take it out on Mojave County. I think it's the people have paid for that road through their gas taxes all these years. I think it's going to be a detriment to commerce, and it's funny that it's on the northwest side of the state when they're doing all the billions of dollars on the southern part.
Okay.
Chairman Angus, this is our second attempt to notify those folks of our intent to oppose. So
Okay. So is that a motion?
I thank Supervisor Johnson for bringing it back, and make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 52, discussion possible action, direct staff to prepare and submit an alleged open meeting law complaint on Board of Supervisors members to Attorney General for investigation. Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is not something I wanted to bring forward, but as elected officials, we are subject to wild accusations from the public. We can choose to deny or ignore them as is part of our job. The public will decide to believe or not by our actions and the reputation that we have. We have all faced them. What I bring before you today is an accusation made on the radio by our chairman against 3 seated board members, Supervisor Watson, Bishop, and myself, of open meeting law violation. Now we conspired to raise taxes behind the backs of taxpayers. If this was just a statement made to someone at a gathering or an informal setting, that is one thing, but for the chairman of our board to make his accusations on a radio station of collusion to circumvent the public process by a majority of this board needs to be investigated by the Attorney General to approve or disapprove. The taxpayers need to have trust in this board that we are not conspiring behind their backs to rig tax rates. The seriousness of the accusations demands immediate attention. I'm stating for the record that I had no contact with either Supervisor Watson or Bishop on a budget proposal that I made at the meeting in question. And I have, if Mr. McDaniels, our IT director, would play this short clip, you can all see what was sent to me.
There was one year, there was one year that we really, we were told it was we were in a crisis, and we were never in a crisis, I'm sorry. And I thought, I don't know if you remember, I had like town halls, whatever, they were dead set, the majority of the board, remember only one vote. The majority of the board was dead set on raising taxes, and I fought, and finally, when it was the final budget, they came up with a new strategy. They were going to raise the primary rate a few cents, but they were going to down the TV district and the library district. And it's kind of a gimmick, but it is technically a wash. So your taxes aren't raised. And they sprung that on me at the vote. So I didn't have time, and I said that will never happen again because I didn't have time to think. That's not a good way to go.
Ambushed.
That's exactly the word. They ambushed, and it was like the 3 of them knew it. So I won't even go into open meeting laws. This was many years ago. And I was sitting there, and Steve Moss was on the board at the time, and he voted no. And I all these things were going through my head because I promised people I would not raise taxes, and I thought if I voted no, then they might go back to what they wanted in the first place. Because they were really trying to appease me. So I voted yes. And I do kind of regret that.
That was the information that I have.
May I say something? So are you saying that it's going to investigate me or the other 3?
3 board members.
Okay. I said that recently, about years ago, but if it makes the board feel better, then do it. And I
believe it was 2015, and I take the accusation that I violated the open meeting law or colluded with any board members to set tax rates outside the public hearing very seriously. I've been sitting here for over 20 years, and no one has accused me of going behind the public's back to raise taxes. So I just soon clear my name and the other 2 at the same time, or find us guilty, one or the other.
Well, I apologize for that. And honestly, if you listen to it again, I wasn't accusing anybody of colluding to raise taxes. I just said that this decision was made. That was not a raising of taxes at all. But anyway, I'll need a motion.
Madam Chair, before we motion, I have some concerns simply because we're asking to vote to investigate 3 members of the board when a complaint for an open meeting law violation can be filed by any person, by any citizen. It doesn't require a vote of the board, and I respect Supervisor Johnson's position. I think that it's reasonable what he's asking for. I don't disagree with that. It's just I have concerns about supervisors voting to say, hey, let's investigate these 3 people and so on. I don't think any action's needed. I respect the board's decision. I respect each member of the board, but I would just as rather say, let's not take any action. And if one person wishes to file with the Attorney General, they can. It could be any person. It could be Supervisor Johnson, or it could be anybody out in the public. It could be any person who's heard that on the radio that could file a complaint and say, well, let's look into that. So I just don't think it'd be wise. And I can't put my finger on a legal statute or anything like that to say that, but I just don't think it'd be wise for the supervisors to pit one another against that.
Can I ask a technical question?
Sure.
Just a technical question. So since it was, I would have to recuse myself, and then the 3 people would have to recuse themselves. So there's only one person left.
Well, there is a legal doctrine of necessity where when the board is in a situation where they cannot vote, then board members can step in and vote. That's happened once before while I've been here. It was the pension issue where 3 or 4 of the elected officials' retirement pension and whether they could vote or not. Mm-hmm. And we basically said, hey, look, without them, you can't vote. You don't have a quorum. You don't have enough. And so there is a principle. There's a legal principle where the board is such that if they are unable to act, they can step in and do it. So I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I still think that from a standpoint of asking the board to say, hey, let's look into this thing, it just seems a bit strange. Let's put it that way. When one person can do it, the thing is, in this situation, one person could do it. One person could just say, regardless of how you vote or not vote, one person can still say, well, I'm going to contact the Attorney General.
Can I say one thing to Supervisor Johnson? You obviously feel strongly about it, and I do apologize. It was said, in the terms of saying something else, and you obviously feel strong enough you wanted to put it out in public, and I would probably do the same thing. So whatever Supervisor Johnson wants to happen on this, I'm okay with.
I think to answer Mr. Esplin, it'd be kind of hard for myself to file an open meeting law complaint against myself when I think I didn't commit the violation. I'm thinking that the Attorney General is not going to take a complaint on those grounds. It was just my thought from the board. I had no other recourse to, because people called me on this, on the statement. So that's why I brought it to the board to clear it. One time before, we had an investigation that was precipitated by board members' actions in my first term, where we called for an investigation on ourselves. I don't know, I guess it's up to the board, Supervisor Bishop and Watson. I mean, if Supervisor Angus has information that proves we did it, then, I'm fine with it.
I'll state here, I have no proof that it was done. That was just a feeling, and if I misstated it as fact when it was my feeling, I apologize, and I apologize publicly.
I have no problem after that. It's up to Supervisor Bishop and Watson.
And I'm sorry, Supervisor Bishop, if I just make, because I want to make sure everybody has information of my opinion on this. I also don't think it's a conflict of interest. Looking at the conflict of interest statute, it's got to be a pecuniary or proprietary interest. And in this situation, it's not a pecuniary or proprietary interest. We're not talking about money. We're not talking about somebody, entering into a contract or things like that. So I don't think the conflict of interest laws would bar you from doing that. And listening to Supervisor Johnson and the rationale, if you do wish to vote in favor of sending it to the Attorney General, I don't think I'd be offended by it. I don't think it would be illegal, let's put it that way. So just to say that.
So Chairman Angus, my comment and my thoughts are, there are several people that come to our meetings all the time that make accusations of corruptness and of wrongdoing and open meeting law violations, and they're totally, for the most part, false. I mean, we're not perfect. We do make open meeting law violations, although I don't believe we ever do it intentionally. So those people that make those comments make them because they're uninformed, or they don't have the information, or they have some alternative motive. But as a board, I think that when we make a decision, even if we're on the descending end of that decision, we make board decisions. And when it passes, whether it's 3-2 or 4-1, if it passes, that's our decision. So that's all I wanted to say. don't care if there's a investigation or not, because I know that what we did was right and correct, and it's water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. But it does concern me that this is said in open dialogue, because I was given an audio of that conversation. So I don't know if everybody received a copy, but I did receive it from someone that thought I was wrongly accused, or that I should know about it. So, okay, that's my statement.
Would it, the members of the board, would it help or alleviate if I publicly, on the radio, in the paper, came out and apologized, or, took it back and said it was said in the heat of a moment while I was talking?
I don't know if we really need to be calling attention to it over and over and over again, because then people think, well, they must have something to cover if you keep bringing it up. But okay.
Not guilty, and I accept your apology.
Thank you very much.
With that, I have no actions needed, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. So that was item 52. Item 53, County Manager Mike Hendricks. Discussion and possible action, approve and authorize the chairman of the board to sign the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Game and Fish Department and Mojave County dated September 3rd, 2019 for holding in trust the Arizona Game and Fish Department's $100,000 contribution towards a community lake, extending the agreement to June 30th, 2020 to allow both Mojave County and the City of Kingman to make a more educated decision on the fishing pond project.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The question I have is, if we're going ahead with this, Kingman is putting all their money into their road project. I mean, they have no extra money, as they've stated time and time again. We're just dragging this out for no special reason, giving people false hope.
If I could answer Supervisor Johnson's question. My understanding that the lake would be constructed with funds that are not City of Kingman. The City of Kingman responsibility would be for upkeep and maintenance long term. That's my understanding. The Kingman Elks Association, or the Arizona Elks Association, in conjunction with the local Elks Lodge 468, have put together, I believe it's $400,000 for this project, and then the $100,000 from the Arizona Game and Fish towards the project. I don't have currently a letter in hand that are guaranteeing those funds, but that's what I've been told. So I think the obligation of the City of Kingman is long-term, is the operation and maintenance, and the construction was not going to be run by the City of Kingman.
Okay, so I guess somewhere I had heard that they were at $100,000 they had to pony up. That's fine with me. That was just a question I had if we were going to drag it out, but I have no problem.
Okay, I can bring back more information next week if you'd like.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of item 53.
Need a second? Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Okay, so 3-2 over there? Okay. With that, motion carried. And if there's not anything else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, well, I'll just adjourn then.